On this episode of All Chiefed Up, Charles Goldman suggests that the Chiefs find Orlando Brown Jr.'s replacement in LAREMY TUNSIL. Chris Jones' contract extension is looming in KC, and he sends out a tweet today that breaks the internet. We're going to talk about Tommy Townsend and some first-round draft targets, so stick around.
What's happening, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. Free agency kicks off on Wednesday, and Patrick Mahomes has even weighed in on that with a tweet that says the NFL is going to be wild this week. Charles Goldman tweeted out that ESPN insiders are naming LAREMY TUNSIL, left tackle from the Houston Texans, as a trade target for the Chiefs. Mike, what do you think about that?
Yeah, ESPN's Dan Graziano suggests that we replace Orlando Brown Jr. with LAREMY TUNSIL, Steve. I looked at some of his grades. He was a 65.8 in his first year in the league as a left tackle and a 60 graded by PFF in 2017, which was his second year in the NFL as a left tackle. Orlando Brown Jr. on his second year, he's a little bit higher than a 60 rated left tackle, Steve. So I don't know which one is actually better. He's getting up there in age and everything. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think we should get LAREMY TUNSIL to replace Orlando Brown Jr. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and get Derrick Henry to run the ball, and let's get DeAndre Hopkins to catch him. Let's go ahead and get OBJ to do it as well. We'll go ahead and get him. Yeah, but in reality, man, we're looking at a left tackle that's 29 years old. He is one of the top in the league. That's no doubt about it. But it comes with a hefty price tag, man. We're going to have to give up at least a first-round pick and a lot more draft capital with that just to get him. And then we're going to have to restructure right off the bat because this guy has a $35 million cap hit coming.
Yeah, so you're going to have to restructure just like you said. Also, I don't see the Chiefs giving up a first-round pick in a year that we're actually hosting the draft. They've already talked about that, and they said Clark Hunt his head would explode if this happens. So we're not going to do that. This one is out, I believe. Again, I'm not completely sold on Orlando Brown Jr. being able to secure top money, but LAREMY TUNSIL at 29 years old is not worth that amount of money either at this point. So I do believe you're going to have to look at the draft. You're going to have to look elsewhere in free agency, or you're going to have to get the Orlando Brown Jr. thing done, because either way, nobody is protecting Patrick Mahomes as of today on the left side of the offensive line, and that is the most important position on the offensive line.
Yeah, so Chiefs Kingdom is way down on Orlando Brown right now. All they want to bring up is how many pressures he let up, or how many times Mahomes got hit, or the fact that he let up 4 sacks this year. They don't bring up any of the positives with this, like the fact that he had way over 250 more pass snaps than any other offensive tackle in the league. So a lot of those numbers seem a little bit inflated. If you start looking at the ratio, it's not as bad as you would think. And yeah, maybe he's not one of the top 3 offensive tackles in the entire NFL and deserve to be paid like Trent Williams or LAREMY TUNSIL or Lane Johnson. But he does deserve a good contract, because the fact of the matter is he's the best option right now for left tackle that is available.
Yeah, I sit on the fence with it. I can see why people don't want to pay him 25, 26 million a year. If that's what he really wants, this is probably what the holdup is, because Brett Veach isn't going to give him that. Orlando Brown is probably worth somewhere between 22 and 24 million per year. Maybe 25 if you throw in some incentives or whatever. As Steve said, the pressures with Orlando Brown, it does come on 893 pass snaps, which is probably 200, 250. That's the equivalent of 4 to 6 extra NFL games for an average left tackle to pass block. It's as simple as that. But he did give up 58 pressures, 44 hurries. Mahomes has took 10 QB hits on 4 sacks. The sack number is very low. In my opinion, you can't look at the sack number and be like, okay, he done well. I look at the 58 pressures and the 44 hurries. I do understand why some people are just down on Orlando Brown Jr., but at the same time, you cannot replace him. Nobody's giving up Trent Williams. They're not giving up Lane Johnson. You're not finding anybody with that equivalent in the draft, and nobody else is available unless you give up a first-round pick plus more, plus a big contract to LAREMY TUNSIL, and I just don't see the Chiefs being able to do that right now.
A lot of you Orlando Brown Jr. haters should get over to Chiefs concerns and check out what ex-Chief tight end Jason Dunn had to say about the situation. There's a lot that goes into the pressures and to the sacks that he allowed this year. One of them being that Patrick Mahomes drops back way further than most quarterbacks do. He's not exactly the guy that steps up and sits around in the pocket. He creates a lot of that stuff himself. And like we already pointed out, he had way more pass snaps than anybody else did in the league. So again, when you look at these numbers, you have to think straight, and you have to realize that Orlando Brown is not the worst tackle in all of football wanting top paid money. That's not the case. The fact of the matter is he is the best option available at left tackle right now, and he probably rightfully deserves 22 to 23 to 23.5 million per year on a 5-year contract.
So let us know in the comments below which you prefer. Would you rather see us sign back Orlando Brown Jr. for 24, 25 million if possible? Would you rather see us draft it in the first round? Or would you rather see us give up a first round pick and restructure a 29-year-old Laramie Tunsil? Let us know in the comments below.
So the time has come for the Chiefs to restructure the best defensive tackle in football, Chris Jones. It looks like he's going to get a fat payday one way or the other. And it looks like to me that he wants to be a Chief. What did he have to say about that yesterday, Mike?
Yeah, so at Sean_27 up next tweets, extension announcement soon. You have to retire a Chief. He tweeted that to Chris Jones. Chris Jones broke the internet. He responded back and said, I'm a Chief for life. I will not play for another franchise. Steve, that sounds like great news for all of Chiefs Kingdom because we want this guy to be here just as bad as he sounds like he wants to be here.
Yeah, Chris Jones is someone you definitely want to retire as a Chief. He's the best defensive tackle in football, and he's an absolute game wrecker and game changer for the Chiefs. This defense would look completely different and a lot less scary without Chris Jones on the team. So this is something that we want to get done. You are going to have to make him happy, though. You can't throw pebbles at him. He's going to be a very well-paid guy. If you look at Daron Payne, he actually got an extension yesterday from the Commanders, 4 years for $90 million, which makes him the second highest-paid defensive tackle in football, right behind Aaron Donald. Well, guess who's better than both of them at the moment? Chris Jones. So they're going to have to get out their pocketbook, man.
Yes, Chris Jones definitely needs to be locked up long term. Maybe this is what's going into the OBJ situation right now. Maybe Brett Veach knows he can't afford to pay him and then pay Chris Jones or pay Chris Jones next year. It's all a snowball effect. Chris Jones is going to have to get paid. I do think he's more important to us than Orlando Brown Jr. at the moment. Maybe it does go in with all of it. I do know we're looking to restructure possibly L'Jarius Sneed as well. We've seen yesterday a third-round pick from Miami was all it took to get Jalen Ramsey. Here in Chiefs Kingdom, we love L'Jarius Sneed, but if a third-round pick for Jalen Ramsey, you're looking at a fifth or a sixth for a L'Jarius Sneed. So again, you probably don't have the trade value there. You probably need to lock him up long-term. You got to lock Chris Jones up long-term. This is probably hindering the OBJ thing. And I do believe that at the end of the day, we're going to stick with the defenders over Orlando Brown Jr. And I think that's probably the hold up with all of it.
Yeah, so it's good news that Chris Jones never wants to play for another franchise besides the Kansas City Chiefs, because we definitely don't want to see him in someone else's uniform. Somebody else that we would like to see stick around here for the long haul is our Pro Bowl punter, Tommy Townsend. Looks like the Chiefs have put him on low tender. Mike, can you tell me about that?
Yes, Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network says the Chiefs are giving first-team All-Pro punter Tommy Townsend the low tender as a restricted free agent, sources say, meaning Kansas City would get zero compensation if he signs an offer sheet with another team and the Chiefs do not match it. The tender is only worth $2.6 million if he does sign it. The Chiefs could have offered him $6 million, which would have been first-round compensation, or $4.3 million, which would have been second-round compensation. Again, both of those are a little too high for a punter, I believe, but Tommy Townsend is not your average punter. He is a Pro Bowler. He is young. He is somebody that other teams will look at to replace their punter needs. And so I do believe the Chiefs are going to have to match a contract offer here. Will they be able to do it? I don't know. This looks like another case of us developing players and then they get too big to stay on our roster.
Yeah, Tommy Townsend's the best punter in the National Football League. End of story. We would love to see him stick around for as long as Dustin Colquitt did. That would be ideal. So senior team reporter for the Chiefs, Matt McMullen, put out a tweet today that said Derek Hall, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and Jackson Smith and Jigba are a few of the names being projected to the Chiefs in some of the latest mock drafts from around the web. Mike, do you like any of those guys? And if not, who would you rather the Chiefs be targeting?
Okay, so it's looking like Derek Hall and possibly Anudike-Uzomah are probably going to be there when we pick. It's possible they slide back into the second. It's remaining to be seen. We're going to see a lot after the pro day, but they did look good at the combine. Smith and Jigba is somebody that I do not see falling that far. And to be honest, he's a little slow for me on top end speed. He does have short area quickness. For me, I would rather see somebody like a Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College. He reminds me of a much better, much quicker in short space Miko Hardman, to be honest. And we look like Miko Hardman's going to be gone. That would be a perfect little replacement to step in. I do like Zay Flowers. I think he offers a lot. I think he offers jet sweeps. I think he offers a lot of top end speed. This guy is awesome. You should definitely check him out. We actually released a short with him on it yesterday. Go back and watch that. If I had to look at the offensive tackle position, I look at Anton Harrison, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. He's 6'4", 315. And in 2022, he was rated a 72.6 grade by PFF. I think he's good enough to play left tackle in this league. Is he going to be as good as Orlando Brown Jr. in his first few years? Probably not, but that is what we had to give up if we're going to let Orlando Brown Jr. go. And we've been saying this. He looks like somebody you could possibly get late in the first, and that's if he doesn't look better at his pro day, which could possibly vault him into the top 25.
So the Chiefs have kind of got themselves in a situation with the Orlando Brown deal that they're probably going to have to use that first rounder on a left tackle, whether it's you move up and do it or you sit and try to nag one there. But if we could go after edge rushing talent, I do like Enudike Uzoma from Kansas State. He's just flat out good at getting to the quarterback. He's average size, average speed, but he just knows how to get to the quarterback. He's very bendy, twisty. He can do all that good stuff, and I think he's a game changer. Another guy that I like is Andre Carter II from Army. He's 6'6", and he moves around like he's a linebacker, dude. He's just super fast. He kind of looks like somebody that Spags would like, kind of Carlos Dunlap-esque or something like that. It's just a big guy. There's a lot that these guys can do right here. I like both of them as far as that goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players sitting there. It's a embarrassment of riches for the Chiefs sitting there. But again, as you said, if we've got to get a tackle, you're probably going to have to trade up to get one. I'm also seeing Darnell Wright from Tennessee flying up the boards. Peter Skoronski's not going to fall from Northwestern. You've got a lot of guys there that is just not going to get to us. We're going to have to go up. Again, we've got a lot of picks. We're in Kansas City. Maybe Brett Veach makes a big splash on draft night. That's something that I feel like we could do. It is possible, but yes, it is pigeonholing us as to what we can actually accomplish here. So if you want to see more mock draft stuff and you're ready to see All Chiefed Up do some mock drafts, let us know in the comments below because we're thinking about getting that going, but we wanted to check with you guys and make sure it was something you wanted to see.
Early last week, we put out a video talking about the Chiefs being the top landing spot for edge rusher Marcus Davenport from the New Orleans Saints. We're not big on that idea, but Cole over at How About Those Chiefs put out a video a couple days ago saying that he's a must sign for the Chiefs. So make sure you click that and watch what he has to say about it. Get in our comments, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell, and we'll be back on Wednesday with more on your Kansas City Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.